Welcome back to another episode of Fast Break. We have now brought ourselves to episode number 9.
I like the dramatic pause.
9. Episode number 9. Thank you for being with us here, Ray Halbrook from Live Stream STL and Fast Break. Thank you for being with us as we talk this time around here. We're going to talk a little bit about our district preview here going on next week here we will be covering a lot of the games over at Jefferson since there's a few folks involved here locally. So we're hoping to see some good coverage over there at Jefferson. And this is what we're going to be looking at today, the small schools. And we're going to start not just with the Jefferson's side. We're going to actually jump over here real quick. But before I do, I don't want to be remiss without introducing the rest of the cast here. The professor, the freak, also known as the Hoops Whisperer,
and the pot stirrer,
as well. So
all right, kettle.
All right, we have the pot, we have the kettle. There we go. Let's jump right in here to the District 2, our Class 2 District 4. We're going to start with the girls here real quick. And you see up on top, Duchesne, number 2, is Valley Catholic. Number 3, Brentwood. Number 4 is your Crystal City Hornets here. Number 5, New Haven. Number 6, Bishop DeBerg. And 7th there is Rosati Kane. So this is a kind of an interesting looking, bracket here. Crystal City in that the 4, but you and I both had a conversation, Lee, here earlier today. Crystal City could, pull up maybe an upset or two here. Mm-hmm. What do you think here, and what you're thinking behind that as well?
Yeah, this is not, that is not the strongest number 1 seed, Duchesne, and Crystal City. They need to get by that first round game. They'll have every chance of winning that semifinal, even if they are the 4 seed and Duchesne's the 1 seed. On the other side, Valley Catholic, they're going to probably get that win. Who is the 3 again?
Let's
that back up. Quick. Yes.
Number 3.
Brentwood. No, I see Valley Catholic getting to the championship from the bottom row there. But Crystal City, they could beat Valley Catholic. I think they played once, but in a rematch, it's possible. And I know anything's possible, but it wouldn't surprise me at all. But just, district's all about win or go home. You got to take care of the one in front of you. So beat New Haven and you get that amazing opportunity.
Scotty, your thoughts?
Well, Crystal's kind of coming in a little bit of a skid. They've lost their last 4, but you wipe the slate clean. You get a neutral site matchup against New Haven, who comes in at 5-17. So, on paper, they look like, they should have a pretty good shot, but they just kind of need to just kind of etch a sketch it, just kind of shake it, just focus on that game.
Yeah, Crystal City will have about a week off. They'll be able to, if they have some bumps and bruises, some illness that's going around, they'll be able to do that. But this is not the strongest district, and there's not much separating. I think any of the top 4 can win it, but in particular, that semifinal matchup at Crystal City can get there. They can definitely get to the championship game. They could easily win that game with the number 1 seed.
Excellent. Let's take a look at the Class 3 District 3 girls here real quick. And we take a look at Arcadia Valley up there on top. Clearwater, number 2. Number 3 is the Jefferson Blue Jays. Number 4, West County. Number 5, the Grandview Eagles. And 6, the Kingston Cougars. Let's take a look and take a dive into that there, Coach.
Well, Arcadia Valley, as opposed to the district we just covered, Class 2 District 4, they are the pretty big favorite there. So the intrigue for me is in that Jefferson, as the 3 seed, has to play a first-round game, which is not altogether bad at district time. You kind of stay in that flow and rhythm. And then waiting for them is Clearwater, coached by my old friend Tony Radford, and they've resurrected that girls program there, and Tony's done a great job. But I think that 2-3 game is going to be very, very close, and Jefferson girls could easily work their way into that championship game. Big challenge against Arcadia Valley if they get that far. Coach Ricky Turnbow has them rolling this year. So, that semifinal, that number 2 versus number 3 semifinal, Clearwater Jefferson should be a really good one.
Scotty.
I like the matchup in the first round for Jefferson, playing Kingston at 5-18. I like the matchup less for Grandview against West County
Right.
at 13-12. You know, maybe they can ride a little bit of this momentum here late in the season, but I definitely put some stock in Jefferson.
I remember like 4 years ago when our friend Coach Tim Winkler was coaching over at Grandview, and they made that charge to the district championship game and came so close to winning that one. But, you know, the Wakeland girls have moved on, and they're having a rebuilding year this year. I also want to point out we will discuss large school districts maybe in the next episode because those have not been released as of this taping. So that's why we're focusing on the small tonight.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at the Class 3 District 2 girls as well here. St. Vincent on top there. Number 2, Saxony Lutheran. Number 3, Scott City. 4, Kelly, and 5, Woodland. And boy, oh boy, St. Vincent girls, man, this is another one of these districts I think here it's St. Vincent's to lose, but does not look like it's going to be even close here. What do you think there, Coach?
Well, yeah, considering they beat Saxony by like 50 plus earlier in the
Ouch.
season. But I mean, it's not nothing against Saxony. It's just they're just a wagon, and they're gonna. Not only do I think they'll take this district going away, I think they're basically almost a shoe-in to get back to the Final Four this year, which I erroneously said their Class 2 path earlier, but obviously Class 2 last year finished second in state, so they move up due to the new rule from Michigan, the championship factor of the last few years. So they're going back to the Final Four, which means obviously I think they're going to win this district.
So last year, 27-4, and they were just obliterating everything all the way to the end.
Mhm.
And then to run it back and be 19-6 this year. I mean, obviously, you know, you got a little wear and tear on the tires, but the experience factor, the talent, the coaching, they're set up to go for a while. I mean, when do these end? Do these end by like St. Patrick's Day, or do these end at, April Fool's Day? I mean,
No.
they're going to go for a while.
Yeah, St. Patrick's was probably closer.
Okay.
Shamrock Shakes are back in McDonald's, by the way.
Hey.
But shameless plug.
Nice.
Product placement there. But no, I agree with you. They're going back to the Final Four. We'll do a deeper dive into maybe what they're going to run into there in a future episode. Again, don't want to assume anything, so we know what that does. But having said that, this district they're going to run away with it.
Let's jump over to the boys' side here, Class 2, District 4. You have the powerhouse St. Vincent Indians on top there. Number 2, Valley Catholic. Number 3, Valley. Number 4, Meadow Heights. 5, Bismarck. 6, Oak Ridge. And 7, the Crystal City Hornets. This is St. Vincent's to lose if they, to me, there's St. Vincent and then there's everybody else. So, I don't know how you guys feel about that, but love to get your thoughts here, Coach, as well. But St. Vincent's definitely in the driver's seat for this one, I think.
Yeah, they are, and I'm pulling up their path, not to get ahead of ourselves here, but I'm looking at who they would have opposite them if they come out of this district. So let's start with the district itself. Let's start with that 2-7 matchup with Crystal City playing Valley Catholic. I love the way the Hornets have finished this year. Been a tough, long year, and then here at the end, they just stuck together and are finding a way to crank out some wins at the end with a young team that's only going to get better. So kudos to them. Tough matchup with Valley Catholic, though. Your body of work landed you at the 7 seed. You got to play the 2. That's going to be tough. But having said that, 3-6. Can you go back to the bracket real
Sure.
quick? Valley's going to beat Oak Ridge. So you have Valley versus Valley Catholic. Valley. Probably in that semi. We're not going to write
Valley's going to win that game.
yeah. Oh, Valley, Caledonia.
I think Valley's.
Oh, I got you. I see what you did there.
Huh.
You're right. You are right. Meadow Heights, Bismarck. That's gonna be Meadow Heights winning that game, and then St. Vincent is gonna. I agree with you, Ray. I think St. Vincent cruises. Scott, what do you think?
Barring something really unforeseen, I just think they just come out and take care of business. I mean, I don't think it'll be don't think it'll be flashy, but I think it'll be very effective.
Yeah. And I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but if they do win the district, not assuming it, for their sectional opponent is going to be one of these teams from Class 2, District 3. Bernie, who's had a great year. Chaffee, who's a pretty good team, but probably won't win that district. Charleston, who always has great teams, great athletes. And Puxico, who's maybe ranked close to number one. I don't think they're number one in Class 2, but they're up there. So either way, St. Vincent's going to have the game of their lives in the sectional. But in this district, we do see them moving ahead, I think.
All right. Take a look at the Class 3, District 3 here real quick. Number 1, Valley Park. Number 2, Jefferson Blue Jays. Number 3, you see Hancock there. Number 4, Kingston. 5 is Grandview, and 6 is St. Pius 10th there. Jefferson looking pretty decent. Valley Park, we've seen them this year as well, played very, very well. So this should be a great 1-2. I don't really see anybody else, pulling an upset there. I mean, it could be Grandview. I think Grandview could upset Kingston, but I don't think they're going to beat Valley Park. So, as far as my thoughts, that's my thoughts there. I think it comes down to Valley Park and Jefferson. Jefferson and Valley Park, we talked a lot about that to, an extensive length there, Coach. And you have a thought about Jefferson actually upsetting Valley Park here. So give me your thoughts here, Coach.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yep.
There we go. Hey, let's go back to those first round games. And I think you have Grandview. We talked about being very hot right now. I think they will beat Kingston and get to that Valley Park game. Be a tough one for them there, but anything's possible. St. Pius, I talked about how Crystal City started the year very, very poorly and now is playing well down the stretch. St. Pius has won, I think, 3 in a row as of this writing or taping, if you will. And they will beat Hancock. And wow, what an intriguing semifinal game we have on the bottom of that bracket between, that's Thursday, February 26th. We will be there.
Yep.
And that's going to be a great matchup between two Festus teams, Jefferson and St. Pius, who now are not conference opponents. But I'm very intrigued by that. Jefferson, again, such a great year. I think they maybe have a little bit too much depth for St. Pius right now, but they are getting a lot hotter, playing a very, very physical brand of basketball. They have a great sophomore guard. And we'll talk more about them as that game gets closer and hopefully get to talk to the coaches. I'm going to let Scott talk a little bit before we get to that final game, though.
Okay, Scotty.
I kind of like where you're going with the Grandview, momentum. They are a little bit inexperienced, so I worry about that just a little bit in that first round matchup. As far as the bottom side, is Pius, they are on a little bit of a roll, but Hancock, if their shooters on, it could go right out of the building for Pius. But whenever you get to that, I think it's going to be 1 and 2 there. I don't see any other scenario where it's not Valley Park and Jefferson. And I'll just put a pin in that, and I'll let you talk about that matchup.
Or sometimes you pull the pin on me and lob it over here, but thank you for putting it back in.
No, you catch it. No,
appreciate that. No, and back to St. Pius. I mean, they had lost like 25 games in a row. They had a coaching change midseason. The football coach came in and some other guys and have done a good job here down the stretch. I do think they'll beat Hancock, but they're playing really well on defense. But they're going to have to manage turnovers to have any chance in the world against Jefferson. I agree with you there. But to that final game, and Ray kind of, previewed this a minute ago, Valley Park and Jefferson is a great final game. Valley Park, great shooter in Coleman, great athlete in St. Clair, and some other guys, got to get a little point guard. That is going to be a fantastic game as well. But I've said for a long time, ever since that Festus game that Jefferson won, they're going to win this district, and I stand by that.
And we kind of previewed this matchup between Valley Park and Jefferson about a month ago, maybe whenever we saw them, when we saw Valley Park play. And I know, it kind of sounds a little bit redundant when we keep talking about Jefferson with all their depth and all their talent. Honestly, I think the only thing that beats Jefferson is Jefferson.
Yep.
If they go out there
Yep.
and Frisk does what he does, Broadwater, Wilson, at all. You know, that whole thing, even down to the first 2, 3 spots on the bench where they've got great depth. I don't see them losing unless, they get sick or, somebody gets hurt. And even then, I think they have such good depth. I think they still knit together and they still find a way to win.
I'm going to add one point to your bullet list there. They have to stay poised. And in a very good competitive game, almost got Scott City last night, they kind of lost their poise a little bit during the game, and their leaders can't do that, and they know that. I mean, I'm not telling them anything they don't know, but I agree with everything else you just said, Scott.
But they kind of had that happen last year down the stretch too. Mm-hmm. They were playing a close game. I forget who they were playing, but the game got away from them.
Yeah.
And then they went on this huge run at the end of the year because they were like, we had that one game where we kind of like kicked ourselves because we knew we had it. We just didn't stay focused. And I think that's really in their back pocket.
That's a great point. That can galvanize the team to look ahead just a little bit, not to get ahead of ourselves because Jefferson wants to win another district and keep the streak going. Their opponent in sectional, whoever wins this District 3, will probably be Miller Career Academy, who's a really, really good team this year. But
is that who they played last year?
That's to be determined. I can't remember.
I can't remember either. But that sounds familiar.
They beat Kingston for the championship.
But I thought that Miller was in their path at some point last year.
And they're beatable, and I'm going to tell you why. Because St. Pius, who we said had started the year just terribly, recently played Miller Career Academy, and I thought gave them a really competitive game. So I feel like if St. Pius can do that, obviously Jefferson in one game scenario, you get to that sectional, you could win that too. I know I'm getting way ahead of myself. Take it one game at a time, Blue Jays, and
it's okay, people. He just gets excited about this. This is like his Christmas.
It really is. It really is the best time of year. Late February and March for high school, and of course then we know March Madness after that. Can't wait.
There you go. Well, that's a wrap up here of the small school districts. We'll be right back.
Meant to do what they do. Devoted, skilled, solving problems before there are problems. Just like the team at Crystal Heating and Cooling. 60 years of teamwork and dedication. To Crystal, you're more than a customer. You're a friend. Top reviews, decades of experience keeping your home safe and comfortable through any weather. And Crystal Care Club with included maintenance and free financing options. For 60 years, Crystal puts their heart into your comfort. Crystal Heating and Cooling.
It's time for Pick and Roll again as we get things rolling here with the coach, Andrew Hubbard from the Hillsboro Hawks. Coach, how you doing, sir?
Good. How are you, Ray?
Excellent. Excellent. Coach, wanted to just talk to you a little bit about your season right now. Your record right now is?
18-3.
18-3, and you are very close to capturing the lone JCAA conference. I don't think anybody can catch up with you, can they?
If we can win our next two games, they're both conference games. I believe that would be 7-0, and then I think we would clinch it at that point.
Excellent. Okay, so I knew I was on the right track there. And then, so tell us a little bit about your thoughts on the season. You got some great key components and role players, and just wanted to kind of get your thoughts on this season.
It's a little bit up and down. I felt like early in the season we were kind of trying to find our identity. I felt like kind of started focusing a little bit on offense when our identity has been defense. And I felt like right around our Christmas tournament was when things kind of changed for us, and girls really picked it up. Then coming into January, when we had some tough games, had a big game against Festus that we ended up winning by 1. Big game against St. Vincent down at their place. We lost by 5. Really good games in our tournament, against Freeburg and Sullivan. And then we had Oakville and Festus right after that. So we've had some big games here lately that I think have kind of helped us step up. But we've had, as you said, we have our role players that have really stepped up. And I think that's made us a little bit deeper, and it's made us a little bit tougher to play against.
You had kind of a gauntlet there of teams that you just rattled off. So battle tested is all I have to say about that particular stretch of games there. Talk a little bit about your district here. I know district's got to be probably starting to think about in the back of your mind here. You're a couple weeks away from it, but Your thoughts on the district this season?
Yeah, we know it's going to be a tough one. We're down at Farmington, and we know Farmington's going to be tough. We're kind of, looking forward to hopefully getting a rematch against them after losing in a district championship last year. But, we'd love to have Festus. Hopefully we can have a JCAA, district championship game, down there. We think that'd be a lot of fun. But, it's going to come down to seeding. All three of us have very good records. All three of us have played really good teams. We've got some good wins. So I'll kind of be curious to see how that goes. But then, behind that, we've got Sykeston I've seen, and I've watched a little bit of Cape Central. Both have some really good players. So I think it's a deep district. I think it's going to be tough, to travel down to Farmington to play those games. And, as you said, I feel like, though, we're kind of battle tested right now. I feel like we've went through some really tough games, and I think it's just going to make us better in the end.
Absolutely. It's pick and roll time. I've got 10 questions on this little piece of paper here. By the way, I'm not the one that wrote it. These are all Scotty's questions, so you can blame him because since you're good friends with
great.
Scotty. But I've got 10 questions. I want you to pick 3 in any random order, however you like.
Oh, all right. 2, 4, and 8.
2, 4, and 8. Okay, number 2. In your experience, do you think there is more pressure playing at home or on the road for a young team defining its identity?
Honestly, I think definitely on the road. You're going into a place where the other team's comfortable. They practice every day in that environment, and especially for young kids, it can be intimidating. I feel like 2 years ago when we won our district championship, one of the big things for us was we had some, Kyra and Ashley were both young girls, but we were playing at home. And, I think that was absolutely huge for us. And I think it kind of shows just how important having that home field advantage, home court advantage really is.
All right. Good answer there. Number 4, right?
Yes.
Along the way, who first put the notion of coaching in your thoughts, or did it spring from you observing a mentor in some role?
It's kind of a mixture. My dad coached, he always coached me when I was growing up, and he coached, at the high school level for Fox and Windsor and a couple other places. So I've kind of always been around coaching, been around, teams and playing a bunch. And then one of my actually JV coach, Greg Morrow, he actually, had me come on at Hillsborough as to help him with some freshman girls, and kind of got my foot in the door. And, ever since then, it was kind of putting time in, kind of doing some things. And then Kyra Matlock, her father, Ollie, kind of got my daughter Lola playing with their group when they were in 3rd grade, and she was a 2nd grader. So then once I started getting in with them and kind of started seeing the girls' side of things, and like I said, helping out on the girls' side, it really kind of made me want to push in and put more time in and get better and see if we could, kind of get things going. And thankfully it's led to where we're at.
Well, there you go. Love that answer. What's the last one you had there? Number 7? Oh, 8. Okay. Everyday life demands focus and energy on and off the court. What or whom do you draw strength from to move forward each day?
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a good Scotty question.
That is a good Scotty question. Honestly, I'd say, especially since I've been coaching the last few years, part of it's been my wife. I've got 6 kids, and so my 2 of my youngest ones are at practices a bunch during the week, and then they've got homework and they got food and they got baths, and my wife for 4 months out of the year is pretty much a single parent, and so she the work and thing that she everything she does for us is absolutely enormous. I could not do what I do if I did not have her, and seeing the selflessness that she has and understanding of my passion for coaching and everything is really helps me push myself and be there. And then again, being around these girls and having such a close bond with them, having seen them grow up and everything, and kind of makes me just want to push more and makes me want to be better for them and make sure that they're prepared and I've done my job. And it's seeing the time and effort that they put in, it's really inspiring to see. So
Excellent. Well, I appreciate those thoughtful answers and whatnot, but thanks for being with us today. And I know that you're probably a win or two away from a conference championship, barring no hiccups. So, but congratulations on that as well. And I'm sure we'll see you down the road.
Thank you very much, Ray. I appreciate it.
Coach Andrew Hubbard from the Hillsboro Hawks.
And welcome everyone out there in live stream land. This is a recurring segment we have here called Ask the Professor. I am flanked by Coach Lee Richardson, affectionately known as the Professor of Coachonomics. Good evening, Coach.
Good evening, sir. I like the way you came in there. It's like, midnight FM radio, or excuse me, AM radio way back in the day, Art Bell, while you're driving across the desert.
Got to be smooth, put them to sleep a little bit. They don't have those rumple things on the side of the road.
Not back then.
Nope. So in this segment, we like to put Coach Richardson on the hot seat, if you will, and just kind of pick his brain a little bit with some of the more intriguing things to think about from a coach's viewpoint. Coach, are you ready?
I think so.
All right. So we here at Livestream STL have covered quite a few programs and their respective coaches over the years. It's safe to say that not all the coaches are on the players' Christmas card list. As a coach, you can get a pretty good first-hand read on whether you and the player are on the same page. What can you do if you don't have a solid connection with the player, or if there's some sort of residual friction with said player?
Wow, that's a good one. That's a tough one. And not to start with a negative, but you know what? Some cases you can't get there. But let's talk about ways that, because this is natural, that's going to happen. And what are some ways you can try to get there? Now, we had talked, another asked the professor about, if you replace a starter with a sub who's maybe outperforming them, that can cause some issues. It could just simply be they haven't gotten the playing time they thought throughout the season, or, they're shooting poorly and they blame that on the coach.
Bad decisions.
Which may or may not be true. Bad decisions, which they, may or may not, take responsibility for. But, this is really tough. I think things you have to do. One is it's your culture. It goes back to culture. From day one, say you take over a program for the first time, or, maybe you're in your fifth or sixth year at a school. The bottom line is, what do you want your culture to be? And you do have a chance to kind of reset that every season. And I think that more than anything else, having leaders who have come up in that culture, who understand the standards, who are going to uphold the standards for the most part. They're kids, and sometimes they don't measure up, but that's okay. We can get them back in the fold pretty quickly, usually. That just you have that player who's a little unhappy with their playing time. You don't want cliques to form on the team. You don't want the starters ganging up against the reserves. You don't get that time because, you're not as good, whatever. But generally speaking, you've created a culture where a lot of those issues, everybody understands their role. Maybe it's a younger player who's not getting quite the minutes now, but you're helping them see that throughout practices and game performance, this is the role we're developing for you, and you're getting better at that. Now, you have a breakdown in the relationship, but the player is still, they didn't quit the team. They're still hanging around, but they're kind of, you can just tell they're upset. They're maybe kind of spreading that bad attitude a little bit. You're going to have a meeting with them. But I also think there's a lot of positive things you can do. You can go over film with them. Just show, take some time, stay after practice and say, hey, this is what, you want to know why or how you can play more. Let's work on, shots from this situation that we get in our offense, or taking care of the ball a little bit better. Going back to those, the thing about decisions that you just said.
So how do you have to really go over your head and repeat everything you're about to say to put it through another lens to okay, how could this possibly go wrong, knowing that you're already maybe on thin ice with this relationship?
That's a great angle to it. And I think these days more than ever, for better or worse, probably worse in my opinion, you have to be very careful about the way you say things, because it's not that you said anything wrong. It may not even be the tone you said it with could be misconstrued, but somehow it will get spun. And let's be honest. I mean, when we're talking at the high school level, there's other people in the kid's ear sometimes, whether it be, parents are very unhappy. And sometimes the kid's fine, but the parents are very unhappy with their role, their playing time. And usually, yeah, it comes down to playing time. But also, if you have a team that maybe has not won as many games as certain people think they should have, they take that as an opportunity to kind of create a little bit of a wedge between player and coach. I always think the worst thing parents can do is talk negatively about the game on the ride home. And honestly, I'm guilty of that as anybody else. And I was usually coaching, and my poor kid was in the car, and
Poor Drew.
I tried not to after the game too much. But just sometimes you mess up too as a coach and as an adult. But I think you have to weigh all of these things. You do have to be kind of careful and considerate, obviously. But also, I think a productive exercise is, have all the players at the beginning of the year write down how many minutes they think they should play a game. Well, 5 times 32 is 160 if my math is right. Well, normally you'll get the 10 players on the team and they write down their individual expected minutes, and that total comes like 230 or something like that. It's just not realistic, and you're going to disappoint some players. And I also think roster construction is very important because you may have to maybe have some younger kids. Hey, we're going to play you up to varsity. You may only play 8-10 minutes a game. That's going to be a very important 8-10 minutes a game. While we're also trying to expand your role and get you ready for the future. But it's a very touchy, delicate subject sometimes. Sometimes you do everything you can and you can't repair the relationship at the end of the day. They're just not going to be happy with anything except more playing time. And coaches, it's one of the toughest situations they'll encounter.
Oh, thank you, Coach. And that was Ask the Professor.
And now, tales from the coaching dark side.
Good evening. Welcome to another tale from the coaching dark side. Tonight's tale, the unknown moment of the final game. There's something very haunting about the last game of the season, and now that we're approaching district time, I thought this would be a good time to talk about this and the fact that you just don't know when that final moment will be. And yeah, you might be the last seed in your district and you have to play Vashon or Principia in the first round. So I guess you have a pretty good idea about that one. And maybe you've even made your reservations for spring break, which not a very optimistic outlook, but hey, it happens sometimes.
Spring break, woo!
See a previous tale from the coaching dark side for more info on that. But, but for most teams or coaches, that unknown, when will the ball really stop bouncing? When is the last final buzzer for us? And maybe it's not this way for all coaches, but it was for me. I always had this faint feeling of dread, that as district play arrives, is this the last practice I'm going to have with this group? I mean, you put 4 months and more, sometimes, years, obviously, but with this year's team, you put in a ton of work and sacrifice into this season. And knowing that could just end at any point now, win or go home time. And, nothing feels better than a postseason run, but then when you hit the fourth quarter of that district game and it's slipping away from you, nothing feels worse than having to confront the inevitable end of the months of shared struggle, heartbreak, blood, sweat, tears, and joy with your team. So my friendly advice to coaches who know this but don't always succeed at it is to appreciate and celebrate, these last fleeting moments with your team. Shorten the practices, run their favorite drills and games in practice, take them out to dinner, and spend as much time with them enjoying what will end up being your last moments together as a team. And I don't care if you're expected to win your district or finish last. Your efforts and sacrifices, everybody's, is worth a positive ending, no matter how or when the ball stops bouncing, the buzzer goes off, and those lights in your gym are turned off for the last time. Good night.
This has been Tales of the Coaching Dark Side.
Very touching.
Had to work in the slow clap.
It is now time for yours and mine, the favorite, the Hoops Whisperer. Scotty, the Freak Lotta, is the Hoops Whisperer. We now turn it over to you, Scotty. Take it away.
Welcome to the Hoops Whisperer, presented to you by Livestream STL on Fast Break. So, organized basketball highlights and celebrates all sorts of milestones, from scoring leaders to rebounding and assist leaders, and so on and so forth. But what about the hardcourt enforcers out there?
Yeah.
Nice.
Why are we not giving them a tip of the headband to players that excel in dishing out the dings instead of the dimes?
Ooh.
I am proposing that we create a category called Basketball Enforcer Annual Stats Tally, or Beast of Fouls.
The Beast.
Just say the acronym, the name again, all the way.
Basketball Enforcer Annual Stats Tally.
Nice.
The Beast.
And just so we keep this, keep me grounded here, here is a running tally of all the players according to the interwebs with reported stats for the JCAA with 60-plus fouls this season so far.
Wow.
First up for the Festus Tiger girls, Lillian Kennedy with an astounding
Agreed.
76 fouls.
Nice.
For your DeSoto Dragon girls, Peyton Stearns with 72.
Stern Girl.
Mackenzie Missy with 61.
Wow.
For my Grandview Eagles, we've got Haley Markley with 62 and Madison Nolick with 60. For those St. Vincent girls, you've got Kate Rubel with 64. For the Jefferson girls, shout out to Blue Tiger Media, Peyton Guffey with 74.
That doesn't surprise me.
Good candidate.
Yeah.
Right on her heels is Louise Deppner with 70. And your current leader for the Crystal City Hornet girls, Maya Hankins with a whopping 80 fouls.
80 foul.
She is a beast.
All right.
Now, for the boys' side, for the Festus Tigers representing Festus High School, Nate Womack with 67. For the boys of Hillsboro, they've got a trifecta.
Ooh.
You got Brendan Pointer with 68, Cooper McGrath with 64, and Colton Hicks with 63. For your Jefferson Blue Jays, Talon Watson with 66. For the Crystal City Hornet boys, you've got Trent Eisenbeis with 69.
The Eisenbeis kid. Yeah.
And your leader at this point of the season for those Crystal City Hornets is Gage McPherson with 81 bruising fouls.
Nice. Very nice.
Gage is a bruiser. Good candidate.
So there you have the list of beasts for the JCAA for fouls for this season so far. Thank you from the Hoops Whisperer and all of us at Livestream STL for this presentation of Fast Break.
Can we discuss this for a second?
Oh, yeah.
Uh-oh. P.S.
I think we have to find a way to add other factors because we don't want kids, going out of their way to foul out.
I want to be the beast.
That said, I really want a Beast Award at the end of this year. That would be fantastic. I think I know who my opinion is of the winners, but I love the idea.
Wow. That was a good one there, Scotty. Like it?
I like it a lot.
Nicely done. That is the Hoops Whisperer, folks.
This episode is brought to you by Livestream STL. Livestream STL covers Jefferson County and the South St. Louis area. For sponsorship opportunities for any of these events, call 314-852-4398. Sponsorships can be for a single game, complete season, or a custom package. Help spotlight the young athletes of our area and score a layup for your business with new potential customers.
Thanks for watching today's broadcast. Any unauthorized use of this broadcast without the express written consent of Livestream STL is strictly prohibited.